Hi everyone, I'm Ms. Karen from the Dorsch branch of the Monroe County Library System, and today on the episode of Dorsch Discovers Downtown, we're heading over to the Museum of Horror. Nate Thompson is the owner of the place, and just give a little background of him. He was actually graduated from Erie Mason, and he was into photography, and so then he actually in 2020 he made a short film, and it was called What Lives in the Dark, and it was very well received, so he decided to do another one. So he's got another one coming out, and it's called Cult Affair. And so he decided to open up this museum here at downtown Monroe, and so we're going to be going and checking it out. So come with me. Hello everyone, I'm here with Nate Thompson. I'm the owner of the Museum of Horror. So thank you very much for letting us come in here. And so I just want to touch base. I know that when I was doing some research about you, you graduated from Erie Mason, and you have some films that you have coming up. Would you like to tell us about those?
Yeah, yep. So we have a new horror short film coming up. It's premiering May 27th at the River Raisin Center for the Arts there. It's all filmed completely in Monroe. We actually filmed scenes here at the museum as well too. But it's just, it's what I like to continue to do is to make things here in Monroe and get a cast of people from Monroe, and I don't know, just kind of be like our own fully functioning service here.
That's great. So we're just interested in what made you get started in doing this? What brought you here?
So I've always been a horror fan, and then I got really heavy into photography, which led me going into videography. Then once I started putting together these little, short films and whatnot, and I had the first official premiere at the River Raisin Center for the Arts about a year or two ago, and just a ton of people turned out for it. And then I realized, wow, there's a huge horror population here in Monroe. Like, there's a bunch of horror fans just like me. Like, maybe this is something here. Maybe these people would like to see some weird, creepy stuff like me. So I ended up starting to get a collection going, and then found a good place to put it in here in downtown, and yeah, it turned out great.
How do you get your pieces? How did you?
So that's the hardest part. The reason why we're not jam-packed with so much stuff right now. I mean, we are, but we could be packed even more. It's finding good stuff. It's all got to be legitimate. It's got to be genuine stuff. There's no fakes here. Any skull or human hand or human rib that you see, it's all acquired legally. They're old medical specimens, but you can't just go dig these things up, and put them in the museum. They have to be genuine pieces, like signed memorabilia, the movie props here, like the stuff that we have from the Gremlins, the fur balls, stuff like that. So it's really just donations or finding it out in the open world and really kind of securing that piece and verifying it and making sure, hey, that's legit, and I think people would like to see it.
Yeah. How many pieces do you have?
Oh my goodness, I don't even. I don't. I think when we very first opened the museum, this was about 6 months ago, we had, I want to say, over 1,500, but I mean, it's been 6 months of adding more and more and more, so it's thousands for sure, yeah.
So I know you have a museum at the top too. Is that what it is, how it works?
Yeah, so both floors are the Michigan Museum of Horror. The upstairs, the second floor, is the Michigan Mortuary Museum exhibit, so pretty much that's going to be, like your embalming fluids, your instruments, your cooling tables, different coffins, wicker caskets, like different like makeup they would have used. Really interesting things. Really, I like the old labels and the bottles that they would use back then, because all of it's like hundreds of years old.
And I know you have a room just for murder. Is that right?
Yeah. Yep. So that is our Red Room exhibit. That is the one that's the one that gets people the most. You're really tested when you go in there. People walk in there and they're like, oh, I'm used to seeing this. It's fine. But some people go in there and they're just like, what where'd you find those?
That's what I was going to ask you. Where do you get these things? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's we literally have people that come in, they help donate items. These are all like images that you can find in the public domain. It's just nobody normally does. Yeah.
Yeah. What else do you offer besides that? Do you have like readings, or do you have like ghost walks or anything like that?
Yeah, yep. So we're offering tarot readings as well here at the Michigan Museum of Horror. You could do either 10 minutes or 25 minutes. Everybody loves that. I've seen them come down with a smile on their face. They're like, "Thank you, I needed that." And I haven't done one myself, but I'm just like, wow, they love it. So we got to keep offering it. But another thing that we're going to do is we're doing like haunted tours of Michigan or of Monroe. So we'll do. I'm just still trying to figure out like the bus tour situation, but I know we're going to start with walking tours. So we'll get like a group of 5 or 10, and we'll go around a few blocks, give them the history, kind of give them some insight. Maybe if I can have a few of these locations, maybe even have like some staged, interactive actors there to kind of portray like what happened here back in the day, and like who haunts the place, etc. I think it'll just be fun. It'd be cool.
Do you know of any local areas that are haunted that you know?
Everywhere down here in downtown,
really?
which is awesome. I mean, obviously everywhere is like a vague blanket, but I know when I first got the place, I was like, wow, this is a great place to put a horror museum. The location is great. It's downtown Monroe. I drove past it for years. And then I was like, well, let's see the history. I want to know what it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago. So I got in touch with the Monroe Museum, the archives department there. They sent me a list of everything it was. The very first thing it was the Rupp funeral furniture making equipment place. So they made like coffins here, the tables, chairs. And then I read a little bit more in the history, and it turns out that a man by the name of George Kronbach III, I believe, he opened up a grocery store here. He found human remains, bones, right in front of the doors here underneath the sidewalk.
Oh my gosh.
He left this place in the 30s because he said that this place occupies burial ground that still has human remains in it. We're the only building here in the backyard in downtown Monroe that has like a big backyard like this. So I can't help to think that, there's got to be bones here, there, everywhere. This place was an abandoned cemetery that they just kind of built the downtown on. I haven't really got to explore any places myself, but I have people that consistently reach out to me, and they're just like, I've had this experience, I've had that experience, I've had this experience. I'm like, gotta do something with those.
Yeah. Have you had any experience here that you witnessed yourself? Okay, do you want to share, or would you rather not?
So the one that I witnessed myself was when I was here alone. We haven't opened yet. It's like 2 or 3 hours before opening. I was cleaning out the bathroom, so I go in the men's bathroom, clean it. I think I was getting like the toilet paper on the roll, making sure the soap's stocked. Then I go and I do that in the women's bathroom too. I close the women's bathroom. I'm walking away, and then I hear the soap like fly off where it was in the sink and land in the sink. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. So I go back in there and I set up the soap bottle again, and I'm like doing jumping jacks. I'm slamming the door. I'm like trying to do anything I can to like go, okay, this is why it fell, and I couldn't recreate that. That was the one big thing that I seen. However, just recently, this is crazy, our employees were upstairs in our office. So we have 3 floors here. The 3rd floor is our office, like residential area. And it's set up into 2 different offices while they're up there kind of, taking a break. And they're like, hey, who's up in that other office? I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, we just seen a lady.
Oh, wow.
Because the way the wall, you can see through the walls a little bit. It's like, we just seen a lady, like, walk from one side to the other. Like, who's up in that office? And we're like, there's literally nobody up there. It turns out our friend who occupies that office, he was like, oh, that's interesting, because just last week I brought 5 urns full of cremated remains, our family members, because they had a house fire recently, but they survived the fire. We brought them here, and they're in her office. And I'm just like, oh, that explains too much. Too much, yeah.
How that would really scare me.
Yeah. I understand now, yeah.
What got you started in this? What was your favorite movie or something that got you started on doing this horror?
Well, I remember really just from the youngest age, while everyone else was kind of watching, Blue's Clues and SpongeBob, which I did that too, don't get me wrong. I was also watching, Creepshow, Return of the Living Dead, just stuff that, like Idle Hands. That was one of my favorites still to this day. But, you're seeing that as like a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, and then you're like, wow, that other stuff really doesn't hold up the same way that it did, But that was one of my first memories, really, is getting my Uncle Cliff's old hand-me-down tapes after he passed away in '99. I watched horror movies with my mom a lot too, but I remember just getting his old tapes that he would have, and they were like Halloween, Return of the Living Dead, Creepshow, Friday the 13th. Like literally, I remember him having like all of those. I remember the one where like the guy's like boxing Jason, and I'm just like, all right, we'll skip past this one. We'll go to a different one here. But yeah, I mean those really kind of got me started in all of this, and I noticed that the pacing that I get from when I make films, the pacing that I have is kind of similar to what I know as horror. So it's definitely those ones.
Do you have any favorite books or authors that got you started, or you like?
Never, not really authors. No, I mean, okay, I can't say that. Edgar Allan Poe is probably literally the only.
You're not a Stephen King fan?
I mean, I am. I like it. But when it comes to like terrifying material, I don't know. I've always gravitated towards Poe more than anything.
Really? Yeah.
Like the King movies are awesome. It's always been Poe for me. I don't know.
So can you tell us your hours and when you're open and everything?
Yeah. So we had to expand after we opened because of the just people kind of coming up and showing up on Wednesdays and being like, "Hey, you guys aren't open on these days." So now we're open Wednesdays 12 to 8, Thursdays 12 to 8, Friday and Saturdays 12 to 9, and then Sundays 12 to 8. So pretty much, any day we're open, we're going to be here hanging out by noon.
And how much is the price?
Admission is adults are 13 plus are going to be $10. Kids are only $6, and then anyone 5 and under is free.
Okay. And do you have anything special that you usually do around Halloween or anything?
So last year we didn't get the luxury of being able to offer anything unique for Halloween. I mean, other than this, but because of our opening date. So this is going to be our first kind of official Halloween we get to really go all out for. Without saying too much, we have some really, really, really unique ideas in plan.
Something for everybody to look forward to,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so very much for letting us have a look at your place and to interviewing us. And so I hope you do really well. I'm excited for you. So thank you.
Appreciate that.
A lot of people come in expecting that I'm going to tell them something along the lines of, oh, you'll die in the next week, because that's what they see in the media when they talk about tarot readers and fortune tellers and things like that. Not even the death card means death in a tarot deck. I actually keep a picture of it framed up here for that reason, so when people ask, I can explain it, because you can certainly see that death is imminent. It's there. It's taking out, there's some loose hands and things like that, taking out all kinds of things like maybe you weren't even ready to lose, but you need to lose those things for that sun to rise and bring on the next best thing in your next days.
So it might not actually be a death, but a death of something else.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
I use just the analogy, one door closes and another opens.
Okay, yeah.
One thing lost is a new thing gained. Just things of that nature.
Can you hear this okay with like this? So I can just kind of like hold it like, okay. I don't want to like interrupt anything, so, all right.
All right. So I'm going to finish shuffling out the deck, and I will do the card spread, and if you wanted to do just the general reading, we can do just the 4-card pull, and then I'll do the dealer's choice, if you will.
Okay, sure.
All right. So feel free to push them around. Sometimes they don't spread as nicely as I would like them to.
You're just going to pick out 4 cards.
Yep, any 4 cards, and just leave them face down on the table. I'll flip them one at a time and explain them.
I think there's 2 stuck together. There you go. And
Alrighty. I'll just grab these back up. Went together a little smoother than they usually do, so that's nice. It's like they know they're on camera. They're feeling it. Alright. And sometimes one, just like that, will flip itself out. We got 2 of them, so we're going to keep hold of those and see what they have to say.
Okay.
If I don't completely mix my deck together backwards, but all right. Scoot in a little bit so I can see the cards. Keep these here. We ready to get started?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Ooh, interesting place to start with the Fool. The Fool kind of stands for naivety, and that's not always a bad thing. It kind of showcases that childlike wonder that at least I feel. It's an interesting card to start with, because usually it ties into the other cards that you've already pulled. So there's not too much to explain with it. But it's honestly, a lot of people think it's a bad card because they're like, oh, well, it means I'm stupid or something like that. And it's like, no, it just means that you still hold that curiosity and that childhood sparkle in your eyes and things like that. I do really like the card, though, because I love when a card has a nice golden background, because that is just one of the most positive things I can see on one of my tarot cards, and that's amazing. So we're in a good spot to start with. Ooh, Major Arcana back to back, the Hierophant. A lot of times with the Hierophant, it tells me, don't be afraid to look back to your past to answer problems that you're having in your present. That can be even just asking another person for advice because you know they've been through that thing before, or maybe you've been through something similar already and you need to look back and see what you did then that you would maybe do differently now, or what worked then, or what worked for you, and apply those same methods to whatever the thing you're going through now is. So sorry. The Hierophant, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a very pompous card. Sorry, the word is just not in my head right now. It's flamboyant, but not pompous. You have flair and personality and charm, and that's good. You don't use too much of it, which is great, because a lot of people will see that and they'll take it as you trying to push a persona. No, you're just naturally like that, and that is awesome. We're in really good standing to start, and just in the first two cards, which is exciting since we have 6. All right. So the 6 of Wands, I like to relate back to this card personally because I get this card almost every single time I read for myself. The 6 of Wands shows somebody who is ready to fight for the things that they are passionate about, or the things they care very much about. They don't really like when people talk down about those things, and that's a problem that I personally really struggle with. I will ride into battle for the things that I am passionate about, and I will defend it tooth and nail if I have to, but that's not always the best strategy or the best option. It is really easy to just be like, you know what, no, I don't like what this person said about this thing that I care about, or this person that I care about. I'm going to rip them to shreds. I know that problem. I have a 15-year-old sister, and kids are ruthless. But like I was saying, it's not always the best option. Sometimes it's easier to take a step back and reassess the situation before saying anything or taking any action about it. So I like to kind of summarize this card with, take a deep breath, just take a moment, reflect on it, think about what you really want to do and what the effect will be if you just immediately react. There's nothing wrong with taking the back seat for a minute and just going, okay, maybe I don't need to get involved. Ooh, and the Knight of Wands. These two cards are pretty similar, but the Knight of Wands is one of personal battle, I feel, where you're always feeling just a little bit of inner turmoil. Like no matter what you do, you're like, oh, was that the right choice, or do I need to do a thing differently? No, you know yourself better than anybody else. If you're making a choice for you, whatever you feel is the right answer will be the right answer in one way or another. Most things actually have a good and a bad side to them. There are always going to be pros and there are always going to be cons. It's just a matter of choosing the thing that fits you the best and not listening to what other people have to say about the way you're living your life and things like that. Because like I said, at the end of the day, you know you better than anybody else does. All right. We're in an interesting standing, so we're going to see what these two cards that decided to jump out at us mean. And, ooh, Justice. So the Justice card, I've found with a lot of people that have pulled it, usually comes out for people who, no matter what they do, they feel like someone's always got something to say about it. They feel like they're going to be ostracized for just about anything, whether it's, hey, I did this thing, well, why didn't you do that? Or just like, even just little minuscule things. It does tie in really well with the Knight of Wands as well, where it's like you just have to keep pushing through no matter what other people have to say about it, because people are always going to have something to say. There are always going to be people just praying for that one little slip up that sends everything tumbling down, but you're not going to reach it because you're making the smart choices for yourself. So, I'm really interested to see what our last card says. Ooh, the Nine of Wands. This one's exciting. You can see all of those wands are in good standing. There's not other people around who use them against you, which is great. Clear sky, lush green mountains in the background, and you're standing tall with that one in hand, ready to take the initiative, ready to take charge of all of those things that you want for yourself and the people around you, and the good things you want for your life. You're ready to make that happen for you, which is great, because we want you to be able to do those things. You have to do the things that make you happy and keep you sane at this point in time. And you have the wit and knowledge and wisdom to know how to do all of those things for yourself. So kind of what I'm getting here is be nice to yourself to begin with, because with these two cards, well, these three cards, people have some criticisms, and they are going to be bitter about it no matter what, no matter how you change yourself for them or things like that. Just don't do it. Just tell them if you don't like it, go find less. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, you're too much from anyone who has just a happy personality, and you seem very, very kind. And people are like, oh, that's a little much. No, go find less. Don't ever dial it down for anybody. Be who you are. And don't be afraid to ask for help. It's one of those things that I get with a lot of people who want to be very independent. They don't really want to come to other people for those things, but no, don't be afraid to ask other people. Just like, can you do this one thing for me so I don't lose my ever-loving mind? And do not let go of that little bit of wonder and just that little shine that you have about you. Don't let people take that away from you, because it looks good on you. Like, you just, when you walked into the building and I made eye contact with you and you just smiled, I was like, I know she's so nice. So don't let anyone take that away from you, and only fight the battles when you have to, because that's what will begin to wear that down.
Okay.
But we are in great standing here, so this is exciting, and a lot more major arcana than I usually get in a reading, so that's awesome.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Hi everyone, and we're back here at the Dorsch branch, and I want to thank Nate for giving us a tour of Museum of Horror. So I just want to touch base and show you some books that we have here at the Dorsch branch, and this, you can pick up any books of horror at any of our branches. We have a wide selection. We have DVDs, we have nonfiction. This one particular one is called Dark Hearts. We have graphic novels. We have J books, we have YA books, and of course we have audio, and this particular one is Stephen King, and no horror collection is complete without a Stephen King. So stop by at one of our branches or give us a call and to reserve your book. And until next time, you have a wonderful day, be safe and be kind. Thank you, bye.